So I was talking to a young lady a while back, and while talking to her, she said something pretty pretty interesting, something that caught my attention. And she said she's glad she was able to get to meet me and talk with me. She's part of my mentoring community, and she was expressing her gratitude, for being in my mentoring community. And she said something that caught my attention. She said, because she had tried out therapy and she couldn't continue with therapy because it got too expensive. And that really broke my heart. It broke my heart. It broke my heart a lot because I was like, here is this young person that is looking for clarity and cannot afford it. uh, it broke my heart because I am not a certified therapist. I am not. But then here is this person thanking me for helping them find some level of therapy. You understand? It's almost like someone being thankful for um, tap water rather than bottled water. A lot of people, if you are not living in Nigeria, you might not understand this, but abroad, tap water might be the cleanest water, but it's not the same here in Nigeria. But then, I don't believe I've been through um, the refining or education or exposure that the professional therapist has been through. But then, here is this person appreciative of the fact that they couldn't afford this, but then they're able to get clarity through this mentoring platform. And it really got me thinking, it got me thinking of the condition of things in the country at the moment, where, things are incredibly hard. Things are incredibly hard for a lot of people. Things are incredibly hard. Um, the economy is is squeezing hard on people's finances. There are a lot of people that have gone from middle class to straight up um, lower class, low income class people. Um, the middle class is being eliminated by the day, and a lot of people overnight have become poor. You understand? Become poor because they can't afford basic things that they could afford just last week. And I truly feel that a time like this is a time for godly people to shine. It's a time when godliness is tested and proven. But then it's really sad to see godly people at it's in time like this when they are meant to shine, um, put more pressure on people's jugulars, making it harder for people to breathe. And I'm just going to say this with all. Maybe I am too sheltered. You understand? Or maybe I'm too privileged. Sometimes I struggle with that. I feel maybe I'm too privileged, that I'm too idealistic, and maybe my mind is not rooted enough in reality, and I'm too detached from the demands of everyday life and people's financial strain. But then I truly believe that in a time like this of economic hardship, we should be there for each other more. I think we will do better by helping each other than by isolating ourselves. You know how it's better for people to huddle together in cold weather than for each person to try to blow hot air into their hand and rub their hands together. When you are out in the elements, especially when it's cold, it's better to huddle together and get body warmth from each other. Um, but I don't think we are doing that, and I think we are making things harder for ourselves. I really do feel like times like this calls for more sacrifice than self-seeking. A lot of people are self-seeking right now, because the instinct is things are hard. I need to increase my profit. I need to add to the price so that I can make more profit. But then that's not sustainable. I don't think we can sustain ourselves um, by billing each other more. I don't think so. I really don't think we are going to survive this economic hardship if each person says, I would increase my price so that my family can eat. I think we have to do what is most counterintuitive, which is serve more. Serve more. I think it's time for us to pool our resources together rather than sell our value for hire. Um, when this young lady told me about not being able to afford a therapist, and she's not the first person telling me that in this period, uh, um, I kind of think of, oh, you know, there's probably a therapist out there trying to feed their family and just saying, oh man, I need to charge. I need to charge this lady. I need to charge my clients more. But then you're endangering your family more. So you might charge and you are able to afford food for your family. But that person that needs um, a psych evaluation, that needs some therapy and is not getting it, is going to devolve as a person and resolve to doing things that they shouldn't do. And then that person becomes a thief or a kidnapper or a ritualist, you understand, because they've totally lost all hope. And then that family that you're trying to protect or you're trying to provide for, um, is at risk. You understand? Because that person is out there making it hard for your children to go out in the evening. As a therapist, makes it hard for you to work late at night because they're out there looking to rob you, to kill you, because they've lost it. You understand? They've lost it. And so there's a knockover effect for everyone that turns away somebody. There's a knockover effect. There's a domino effect for every person we choose not to serve in a hard period like this. I remember watching a film called Crash. Crash is a very interesting movie. It's an old movie, but it's this movie about different people. But then it talks about how their actions affect the other person. So it seems like they are living detached lives, but the actions they take have a domino effect on each other's lives. And I really believe that's the case. You understand? The policeman that chooses not to go and help somebody investigate a robbery in their house because the person hasn't dropped some money, um, he's putting something out there that will come back to haunt him. The doctor that refuses to treat a patient because they cannot afford the hospital bill, he has that action has a domino effect that will end up affecting him as a doctor. And that's how life is. Life is an ecosystem. You cannot kill the rats and expect the cats to survive. It reminded me, it reminds me of something I watched once. I can't remember what the content was, but it was on Netflix. It was a documentary, and it talked about a particular village that had a problem with mosquitoes. And this NGO came and they came with their pesticides, and they went and sprayed all the hot in a bid to kill the mosquitoes. So they sprayed the mosquitoes and the mosquitoes died. But then afterwards, they realized that the cats in the area started to die too. Cats were just dying in huge numbers. And what happened was when they sprayed the mosquitoes with these pesticides, the wall geckos came and ate these mosquitoes that were laced with these poisonous pesticides. And then the wall geckos went out and died, and they were eaten by the cats, and the cats died. So this allowed the population of the rats to increase, and there was a rat problem in that society. And so they started with, they tried to eliminate a mosquito problem but created a rat problem. And it was a big problem, in that village. And that just shows us that life is an ecosystem. um, and for a time like this, we must be aware of the fact that for everyone we allow our capitalist tendencies stop us from serving, we are creating a problem that will come back to haunt us. So, you know, it got me thinking that hard times like this calls for us to huddle together rather than stay apart. Calls for us to make sacrifices rather than sell and try to sell some more. Um, and it's hard to do this unless you're a godly person, and that's why I said it's a time for godly people to shine. It's very important for you as a God-fearing person, um, to be able to serve more than you sell. To serve more than you sell. It's very interesting for me. Um, a subject that a lot of Christians try to evade. We try to evade this subject matter, and it's interesting that we never talk about it. You see, I spend a lot of times reading the Gospels and reading about the life of Christ. And every time I read about Christ, it's always interesting to realize how self-sacrificial he was. Christ could easily have been a multi-millionaire of his time, because he was doing things that nobody could do at that time in terms of healing and providing for people. He was doing really amazing things, and would still be amazing by today's standard if he were doing it today. And so, it always interests me how Christ was able to do all this for free. At least according to the Bible, there is nowhere in the record of the Bible that says Christ charged for anything. Any good thing he did, he never charged for it. He did for free. He healed people for free. He used his gifts for free. So it makes me wonder why we as Christians don't talk about that enough. Because I see more capitalist Christians now than any other time. Christians don't see doing or giving things for free as a Christ virtue, a Christ-like virtue. We don't talk about it enough. Why don't we exempt Christ? Why don't we copy Christ? Why is Christ not an example to us in this very way of living? You understand? I don't see why we don't talk about it enough. We call ourselves Christians. We are Christians. We are little Christ, right? But then when it comes to the act of giving freely, we just one way or the other just we find a way of saying, oh, that's Christ can do that. Well, I'm not Christ. Christ was God. And so I see a lot of Christians find this subject matter of giving freely very hard to swallow. They find it very hard to do. So you see Christian businesses that are so profit minded. You understand that they are even quicker to turn you away at the sound or at the knowledge that you cannot pay. You understand? For me, it's very disturbing. I don't know how it is for other people, but for me, it's actually so disturbing that the Christian has become so capitalist in their mentality and their approach to life. I don't get it. It totally disturbs me, to be honest with you. It does. It disturbs me. And again, I'll say, maybe I am just too sheltered or just too privileged and just don't understand people's needs enough. But when I read the Bible, and and I see the life of the one to whom we are to model. He did a lot for free. He did everything for free, and he never lacked. And maybe that is the real secret to not lacking. Maybe it's actually giving for free. Maybe we should try it. Maybe we should try to cater to those people that really cannot afford. And maybe by so doing, we would begin to shine in society like Christ was able to shine in his own time. Do you understand? Free is not such a dirty word. Do you understand? Now free has become the F word. That word free has actually become the F word. It seems to be worse than the actual F word. And I don't get it. I don't get how we can turn away people that are dying. I don't get it. I actually do not. I don't get it. I don't get how we turn away people that are dying. I don't get how we've gotten to this place where our skill, our talent, our gift has become a means of us being self-centered. You understand how we look at what we have and we only can think of how to use it for ourselves. Do you understand? I don't get it. You see, I'm a Christian. I really cannot talk about Islam. You understand? So I don't know. So don't think I'm being hard on Christians. I can only talk about what I know in Christianity. But when I read the Bible, that is not the Christ I see. Many years ago, there was this wristband called that had this words WWJD. What would Jesus do? And I think it was such a great means of evangelizing. It was very popular in the 90s. And whenever you're about to do something, you look at that wristband and say, what would Jesus do? And I think we really need to bring back those wristbands and really think, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? I'm a therapist. Someone needs to come for therapy. I have this my clinic and the person cannot afford it. Would Jesus say, don't come back? Don't come again. You cannot afford it. I really don't see any part of the Bible that depicts the person of Jesus to ever act that way. There is nowhere in the Bible where Jesus says, I would open your eyes. How much do you have in your pocket? Oh, I just healed you, but then can you put some money into this? I don't know where we got that mentality from. You understand? I don't get it. How we can watch people die. How we can watch people die and we go to church and we pray every day. Selfish prayers. God help me and my family. You understand? Me and my family. Let me and my family survive. But when you and your family survives and everybody dies, how can your family thrive? You understand? I don't get it. It keeps me awake at night. To be honest, it worries me. It makes me feel, Tola, are you normal? Are you okay? Are you actually okay? You understand? Are you the weird one? Or are you onto something? I don't get it. I believe a time like this is a time for us to serve. There's a movie called Schindler's List. I think it's still on Netflix, but I didn't watch it on Netflix. I watched it many years ago. It was directed by Steven Spielberg, released in 1993. It's about a German businessman called Oskar Schindler, who was a ruthless businessman, you understand, had no good values. But when the war started and he realized that the Jews were being killed, he used his factory. He had a factory. He was producing ammunition for, I think ammunition or helmets for the Germans. So he was making profit from the war. But then when he realized that the Nazis were killing the Jews in their hundreds of thousands, he realized that he had to do something. So he started employing Jews to work in his factory, whether they were skilled or not. Because he realized that as long as they were working in his factories, they were safe from the Nazis. If they were working in his factories, the Nazis wouldn't come and take them to concentration camps where they would eliminate them. So he realized that that period of war wasn't a time to make money, it was a time to save lives. So he used his factory to save Jewish lives. And I will never forget a scene in Schindler's List when the Nazi soldiers came and they got wind of the fact that he was just housing people that were not actually working in the factory. And they came and they saw a man without hands. And they said, what can this man do? This man doesn't have, has lost one hand. And he was saying, this man is the best in doing this. He has this. He's the only one that can operate this machine. And it really touched my heart that this is the man who was a German. He was already saved. His life was not threatened. He was making money already. But then he gave up his business to save Jews. This man was not a Christian. And they said he saved over 1,000 Jews. Over 1,000 Jews. Till today, those Jews call themselves the Schindler Jews. The Schindler Jews. Oskar Schindler was not a Christian. He forfeited his business in a hard time to save lives. And it makes me wonder whether we still have Oskar Schindlers today. I don't see too many. And I think that's very sad. I don't think that's godly. I really don't think so. I think this is a time for us to bond together. The government cannot be pressing our necks and we pressing our own necks too. I don't think so. But again, as I said, I might be wrong. I might be, but I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. Going by what I read in the Bible, this is not who the person of Christ represented. Somebody who put profit over people. This was not Christ. I don't think so. It's not the Christ I read about in my Bible. But those are my thoughts too. I really believe in economically hard times. It's a time for godly people to shine. It's a time to show that you are made of something different. It's a time that really separates the godly from the ungodly. My name is Tola T.A. Alabi, and you've been listening to my podcast, ProUp Masterclass.